In this set of videos, we're going to start looking at surds at National 5 level. So the first thing we have to understand is what a surd is, and the main explanation you find online is that a surd is an irrational number. What that means is that any rational number can't be expressed as a whole number or as a fraction, or as a fraction. So some examples of rational numbers. Something has to be rational for things to be irrational as well. So we said that expressed as a whole number or as a fraction. So 2, 5, 101, 738,019. These are all whole numbers. 1/2 and 1/3 are obviously both fractions. 0.3, not as obvious to begin with, but you could express 0.3 as 3 upon 10. And similarly, 0.8 is 8 upon 10, or if you want 4 upon 5. These ones here, we've got the square root of 4, the square root of 16. Not obvious to begin with, but if you take the square root of 4, you get 2. The square root of 16 is 4. Technically plus or minus, because you could have a negative number squared gives you the positive result. So with that in mind, then we have to start looking at, well, what kind of numbers do we have that are irrational? So some ones that that are included, we've got pi, which is about 3.14-ish. E, which is about 2.73, thereabouts. Root 2 and root 3. Now these two, again, cannot be simplified down. Unlike the root 4 and the root 16, which were the square root of a square number, 2 and 3 are not square numbers, therefore we cannot take the square root of them. These are known as surds. So what we're going to do then is we're going to have a look at the first 10 surds that we come across. Please be aware that you can't get negative surds at this moment in time. Certainly at National 5 level, we don't look at the square root of negative numbers. That comes at a much later stage where we start looking at imaginary numbers, but that's not really for us just now. But we do have the square root of each of these numbers, and we'll decide whether or not they are surds. So, for example, we know that root 4, we've already said, gives us 2 or negative 2. From there we can say that, well, square root of 1 is going to be plus or minus 1, and we know that 9 is plus or minus 3, because 1, 4 and 9 are our first 3 square numbers. Well, that means that all the rest of them cannot be simplified. So all of the other 7 that are in this list are surds. Okay, and so on. So we know that each of those values are surds because they cannot be simplified down any further. All right, a nice easy start. Thanks.